Kenny Dalglish's first game in charge at Ewood inspired a big increase in attendance on the night and saw a renewed flow of interest down the season ticket office. But one bunch of supporters who could never be called fair weather friends are a group who go by the name the Continentals. And they've been here to Blackburn to see them play such illustrious teams as Preston, Shrewsbury and the mighty Middlesbrough. So what's the big deal in that, you might say? Well, nothing really, except they travel all the way from Holland for the pleasure of freezing their clogs off standing on the terraces watching lower division British clubs kick the bag about. Why? They're big, they're awesome, and they're here. But who are these wild rovers? The Continentals are back on tour, and they're coming to a football ground near you. Formed 13 years ago in Rotterdam, the Continentals include a lawyer, a cook, a postal clerk, and a tax collector. Their jobs might lack excitement, but getting their kicks from the nitty-gritty of English football makes up for that. Their idea of ecstasy is
Crewe versus Hereford, Leyton Orient against Darlington,
Plymouth against Swindon,
Colchester in the 4th Division against Grimsby Town.
Ad Poot is a lawyer from Rotterdam, but doubles up as the Continentals' public relations supremo. Rob Spitters is a founder member of the Continentals and in normal life a waterway engineer from The Hague.
I think a lot of people find it strange that I go every year, a couple of times every year, to go to England to see a football game and not Arsenal against Liverpool, but I also like to see Aldershot, Fulham play. And they don't understand that. They're always following Man United or Arsenal, not a small team.
I think a bit addicted to British football. The most important thing which attracts me is still the tradition which lives here. Players, I think, they live for the sport, they know who they are and what kind of responsibility they have for the fans. Sometimes that's forgotten in Holland. Players in Holland play for the money, I have to say.
It's a burning ambition of all Continentals, Viard Mace, Harmon de Roos, Rob and Ad, to go to every league ground in the country. But before they'll let new members join, there's a strict dress code to follow and the terrifying initiation ceremony to go through.
The third meeting, when it's held, and he's visiting us, he has to bring a cake with him. A nice cake with cream. And the chairman is cutting the cake. That moment, that's tradition. That moment, he's a member of the club. We want to see as many matches as possible. There is one, not a full member, but one associate member, who has seen all 92 football grounds. We have also had adventures with 3 matches on one day. For example, 11 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 7:30.
In Holland, you're like an animal caged in. The stadiums are really beautiful, but there's no atmosphere, no football atmosphere in most of the stadiums. In England, wherever stadium you're going, there's always an atmosphere of football. You smell the OXO, you smell the hamburger stand, and the programs are much nicer than in Holland or in Europe.
The first match of their weekend tour is a Friday night clash with Aldershot as home to Rochdale. But to them, it's not the teams taking part that's most important. It's just the fact of being there and soaking up all that big match atmosphere.
It was really lovely to be here.
The Continentals are building up a bit of a reputation over here in the lower reaches of the league. So after the match, there's a reception in their honour given by Aldershot chairman Mike Gillanderson.
You're welcome and your reception. And please, I hope you can find a place for it in your office.
Certainly will. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
And we'll see you next year, will we? No?
We'll try. With the old group.
Sure.
But despite the big occasion, there's no time to hang about. Next day, it's Saturday. And if it's Saturday, it must be Fulham versus Brentford. On the Sunday, they travel to the Midlands to see Notts County play Man City, a round trip of over 300 miles. But at the end of another weekend orgy of English football, the Continentals can't go home without making a pilgrimage to Charlton's home the Valley.
Die grote tribune die ging echt uiteraard zien nog helemaal tot bovenaan.
It's still being renovated, so they couldn't get past the security gates to kiss the hallowed turf, but even that doesn't worry them.
This is so important. I'm really a bit emotional now. I really am.
But before you shed a tear, don't worry about the Continentals. They'll be back, probably standing next to you on the terraces very soon.
How many times did Aston Villa win the FA Cup?
3 times?
No.
How many then?
7.
7. What was the first final at Wembley?